Get her out of here. She's just the nurse. The head surgeon snapped, arms crossed as sweat poured down his forehead. The monitors were screaming. Alarms blared. A millionaire lay unconscious on the bed, his skin pale and his breathing shallow. 25 of the best doctors in the country stood around, frozen in frustration. No one could figure out why this man, who'd survived heart surgery, multiple transfusions, and 3 emergency interventions, was dying anyway. Emily stood silently in the corner, gripping her chart, lips pressed tight. She was the nurse no one listened to. The one who got the coffee, took the vitals, and cleaned up the messes left behind by the geniuses in white coats. To them, she was invisible, just the nurse. But her eyes never left the patient. Dr. Wallace barked, "It's sepsis. Check his blood work again." "No, it's an allergic reaction," someone else yelled. "Increase the antihistamines." Voices collided, orders contradicted. Time was slipping, so was the man's pulse. Emily's heart raced. She noticed something no one else seemed to care about, the patient's IV drip. Something was off. The liquid had a slight yellowish tint, barely noticeable. She stepped forward. "Stop everything," she said, voice low but firm. No one turned. "I said stop everything." Heads whipped around. Silence hit the room like a punch. Dr. Wallace raised an eyebrow. "Who do you think you are?" "I'm the nurse," Emily said, walking toward the IV. "And if someone doesn't listen to me right now, that man is going to die within the next 5 minutes." She grabbed the IV bag. This isn't the saline solution we ordered. It's contaminated." Wallace scoffed. "Impossible. We've run every toxicity screen." "Not for ethylene glycol," she said sharply. "Antifreeze. The symptoms match. Drop in kidney function, confusion, metabolic acidosis." And the yellow tint. Classic sign. A younger doctor's face turned pale. "She might be right." Wallace tried to regain control. "That's ridiculous. We don't have time for guesswork." Emily turned to the attending. "We don't have time not to. Run the test. Now." Within minutes, the lab results came back. Positive. Ethylene glycol poisoning. Every doctor in the room froze. Wallace's jaw clenched. How did we miss this? But Emily didn't care about the credit. She rushed to set up the antidote protocol. Fomepizole, intravenous fluids. Bicarbonate to correct the acidosis. Her hands worked like lightning, steady and sure, while the rest of the room tried to catch up. The man's breathing stabilized. His pulse grew stronger. Color returned to his face. For the first time in hours, he was out of danger. And for the first time in her career, everyone in that room turned to face Emily. But this wasn't just luck. This wasn't a guess. 3 years ago, Emily had watched her younger brother die in an emergency room after being misdiagnosed with a stomach virus. He'd accidentally ingested antifreeze while working in his garage. The doctors didn't catch it in time. She'd watched the life drain from his eyes while the professionals stood by, lost in theories and textbooks. She made a vow that night, to become the nurse who noticed what no one else did, to be the second pair of eyes that could save someone else's brother, or father, or son. But every step of the way, she'd been underestimated, dismissed. Just the nurse. Until today. As the patient regained consciousness, he looked around the room, confused. What happened? Emily leaned down beside him and smiled gently. "You're going to be okay now, sir," he whispered. "You saved my life, didn't you?" She didn't respond, but Wallace did. Slowly, he stepped forward, eyes downcast. "I owe you an apology," he said. "You saw what 25 of us missed. I dismissed you, and it nearly cost a man his life." Emily nodded quietly. "We're all on the same team, doctor. Just sometimes. You need to look outside the playbook." The patient's daughter burst into the room, tears in her eyes, and clutched her father's hand. "Thank you," she mouthed to Emily, voice shaking. By the end of the day, the story had spread across the hospital. The nurse who saved the millionaire. The overlooked one who noticed the fatal clue. Emily's name was on everyone's lips, not in gossip, but in gratitude. And when the hospital board reviewed the incident, they rewrote one line in the official report. Critical intervention was made by Nurse Emily Carter, who correctly identified the presence of ethylene glycol poisoning and initiated life-saving treatment. That line changed everything. She was no longer just the nurse. She was the reason someone's father went home that night. She was the reason a powerful man realized that status doesn't save lives, skill and heart do. And from that day on, every new doctor at that hospital heard her story on their first day. Don't underestimate the quiet ones. Sometimes they're the only reason your patient survives. Before we end this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comment.